So Jodi Brandstetter is here today to talk a bit about how she used a book to help grow her business. And I am so excited about this episode because a little known secret is that I'm actually also writing a book and it's taking forever. And so I'm constantly in the market for new ideas about how I can do it faster and how I can be much more efficient, and just a constant reminder that it's worth it because it's a lot of work. So Jodi, really excited to have you here today.
I'm excited to talk about it. And it is a lot of work, and congratulations on starting it.
Yes, I like to say that I am working on a book as opposed to writing a book, because I feel like, part of the time is actually spent typing and writing, and a lot of the time is spent figuring out, what's the outline going to look like? Who can I interview that would be great for this book, for case studies for the book and all of this. So I feel like there's a lot more work than just the writing, but I'm sure we could dig into that a little bit too. So Jodi, you started your consulting business in 2018. You wrote your book in 2021. Can you talk to us a little bit about what you do in your consulting business? Because I think that'll help us understand what kinds of businesses are a good fit for writing a book.
Absolutely. So I am a recruiter by trade. So my consulting company, Lean Effective Talent Strategies, is a talent acquisition consulting company. So we help small to mid-sized STEM companies with using design thinking methodology to help create better hiring processes. So I would like to repeat, I am not a current recruiter. I help with the actual process. And that was exactly what my book was about, was how to use design thinking in talent acquisition.
Yeah, it's, by the way, a fascinating topic. I'm definitely getting your book, and that's totally an aside. But one of the things we talked about is the fact that a book can actually help your business in many different ways, some of which are really unexpected. Can you talk to us a little bit about all the different ways that you've seen a book be beneficial for a business? And very specifically, how did having a book benefit your consulting business?
Absolutely. So I really had three goals when I decided to write a book. The first thing was I was trying to scale. So I am a one-person shop. I'm a solo entrepreneur, and I wanted to be able to tell more people about this methodology that I was very passionate about within my industry. So scaling and being able to get that information out to a larger group of people was one of the main reasons why I decided to write a book. Sure. I also was looking for credibility. As a entrepreneur, you're always trying to show people why they want to work with you, and having a book makes people think you know what you're doing. So I saw that as a huge benefit, was to have a book on, a book from me showing, what my expertise was.
And that's true. Even if people don't read the book, right? Just the mere fact that you're an author lends you that kind of credibility.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't tell you how many more people want to talk to me now, how many people want to, potentially, use my services just because I have a book. I also, get more opportunities from it. So obviously I can get more clients because I am, spreading the word out a little bit more about how I handle my consulting business. But I also have been able to do more press coverage. So again, being an author, you have that credibility where when a journalist is writing a story, if you pitch to them your expertise, they will use you specifically because you are an author. So that was, fantastic. And then I got to be a paid speaker versus a volunteer speaker. So I've been on the speaking circuit for, I think, about 10 years now. And I could never get paid. I could never find paid speaking gigs. And literally after I got the book, I was able to land a paid speaking gig in an organization that I actually was a volunteer in. They had never thought of me before, but once I, had the book out, it made sense for them to have me speak as well as get paid. So,
and did organizations just start coming to you and saying, "Hey, would you like to speak for this?" By the way, was it like you signed up with a speakers bureau?
No. I am not a part of a speakers bureau. So I'm either getting people to reach out to me directly. I literally just had someone call me about the Veterinarian Managers Association. would have never thought about that. But then I also have always been pitching myself as a speaker. So it's just been, I would say it's a mixture of either people saying, yes, let's call Jodi, or, oh, Jodi did a call for speaker proposal. Oh, she's an author. Let's look at her maybe a little bit closer than what I would have before.
Yeah. And it's not like the business growth ends with the speaking opportunity. It's not like you write the book, you get the credibility and you land the speaking opportunity, but the speaking opportunities also help you land more business.
Absolutely. So I just got back from Las Vegas for the SHRM, which is Society of HR Management.
Sure.
Their big national conference. Never been able to speak there before until I got my book, and I was able to go and speak. They don't pay. Well, they had Michael Phelps. I'm sure they paid him, but concurrent speakers, they don't traditionally pay. You get a free conference, which is actually good money to do. But by going there presenting, I got 2 potential clients reaching out to me about new business.
Amazing.
And again, I don't know if I would have gotten that opportunity with SHRM National without my book.
And the book itself can also deliver you business if people read the book, and you do some things, you've done some things in the book to help send business your way. Am I right? Yeah.
So when you sell a book, you actually don't get your list of people who buy your book. If you do it through like Amazon or Barnes and Noble, you just get your royalties. So you have no way to know who bought your book. And it's really critical when you put a book out there that you find a way to hopefully get those people on your email list. And so what I ended up doing, I added templates that someone could use. They're in my book, so they could literally use it from there. But if they wanted a workable worksheet, right, instead of like trying to, I don't know, tear it out or make a picture and copy it, they could go to my website, hirebydesignbook.com, and get those actual templates by just giving me their email address. So then I now have them on my email list, so that when I'm sending out my newsletters or whatever, content I'm providing, they're now there and they're seeing me more often.
Yep. Because if you're writing a book, the value is not in the royalties that you're going to make off of selling the book. The value is in the growth you're going to see in your business as a result of the credibility of having this book in the market.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've at this point sold about 1,000 books, and I haven't made much money from the book selling. Whereas I've already paid, or I've already gotten my return on investment from the money I put into my book by one client. And so that was what I was trying to do. I was trying to make this a vessel for more clients, because my clients, I'm getting paid, $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 for a project. Whereas my book on Amazon, I think I might get between $5 to maybe $10 for royalties.
Right. But the thing that, business owners are always looking for distribution channels, a way to sell their product or services. And even though you're not making much by selling on Amazon, that's 1,000 book sales is 1,000 people who never heard of you before. Amazon is distributing to them on your behalf, right? So Amazon's promoting to them on your behalf, and they're paying you for the right to promote you. Yes. Because they're giving you royalties for the book. So it's 1,000 more people that never heard of you before who could then become customers or clients.
Absolutely. I love and hate Amazon. There's things you love and you hate, but as an author and being a self-publishing author, I love Amazon because they make it so simplistic for me to get a book out there to my audience. And I don't have to do all the work. I don't have to. I was just talking to a friend who did, I think he self-published like 9 books in the 90s. And literally he had a garage filled with books so that they could self-publish and sell them. Wow. And so they were like asking their neighbors to come and put books into packages so they could mail them out. Logistically, that just doesn't work. So having an Amazon, a Barnes and Noble, and being able to get it out there to the world that way, it's just an amazing opportunity right now.
Yeah. I mean, you're literally just writing the book, giving it to them, and they're handling all of the distribution, just paying you when a book is sold.
Yes. Yep. And then you have the ability to buy print, the cost of print of the book. So an author copy. So I could, and that's one thing I do is I'll buy my book. It's like $3.44 for me to buy my book, and plus tax and shipping. And
Right.
shipping's getting a little crazy right now, but I can get that book. I can then have it at my house. And so then, we talked about this.
Yep.
I give it away as a business card. Like this
So
is
smart.
Again, I'm not looking at this like, oh, give me, $15 to buy my book. I'm like, no, here, take my book. Please read it. Please give me a review. And it's a great way again to, give a gift to your clients or to give to, a potential client. And again, that credibility is right there.
Yes. Oh, and it's a dream if they regift it to somebody else. They read it and then they loan it to someone else.
Yes. I actually had a former manager talk to me and say, hey, can I buy the book as a Christmas gift for my team? And will you come and speak with us virtually about it? And so I literally, sold 20 books to my former manager who was in a different company, got to talk to 20 HR professionals, tell them about, why this is important, why they should use it. And then, again, I got 20 more people who had my book and got to learn about me. So
yes,
very impactful because you never know when that person could become a client or someone that you can network in the future with.
And you also told me that you give the gift away to your current clients as well, correct?
Yes. So, and it's really cool. There's a couple different ways you can do it. So I always think a paperback signing it is the way, but you can also gift them an ebook and send it that way. You can, so you can send them, your book plus someone else's book. I mean, that's the nice thing is if you give, I have one client who I sent my book, but one of my friends, Tim Saget, has a book that's really good for talent acquisition. I gifted her that book too. I was like, yes, you should read my book. I'm amazing. But Tim's also really good too. And he has a lot of knowledge that you should be using. And so again, it's always thinking about how can your book serve your audience? And then what else can you provide them that just shows that you're really thinking of them and caring about them?
Awesome. So I think we've covered so many bases here. You've talked about how you use the book to both secure your existing client relationships and get new clients. So let's get down into it a little bit. How on earth were you able to write this book? And I know that you did it during a pandemic with a 5-year-old running around your house.
Yeah. So, okay. So first off, I never thought I would be an author, never thought about becoming an author. I literally had someone who believed in me and said, I think you could be an author. And that was my book coach. So she reached out to me through LinkedIn. She sent me a message and said, I would like to talk to you. I talk to pretty much anyone at LinkedIn as long as they're not instantly selling me something.
Right.
And so I'm like, yeah, I'll talk to you. And we had 2 meetings. And by the end of that, I had selected her as my book coach. I had a book idea and had a book title. Like she
Tell me what a book coach does. What does a book coach do other than inspire you?
They're all very different. Some of them will help you through the beginning stages of understanding your audience, your voice, helping you with figuring out your book title so they could just be giving you tools and templates and things like that to actually finding you your editor, finding your cover design, to editing, to formatting. So a book coach can do a lot of different things. And, I think our last question you have for me is what I would have done differently.
Yeah, let's skip to that.
Let's just go. I would have done everything through her. So I thought I was going to save money, save time by doing things myself. So she gave me the format on how to write the book, right? So she was kind of like, I'm going to help you with the production part.
Right.
And then I found my own editor. I used 99 Designs for my book cover. And then I went back to her and said, okay, I need help with how do you market a book, format it and get it on Amazon. And by piecing it in, I thought I would save money when in actual, I probably either would have spent the same amount or maybe even less. And instead of me having to find, the editor, find the book cover designer, she could have done all that for me for the same price, if not less. So, that was one thing I was like, I wish I would have just utilized her and her services more than, because at the same time, you can do a book without a book coach. There's so much free, amazing content out there.
Oh yeah.
But if you want that accountability partner, if you want someone who's going to help you like kind of deliver some of these things that you don't know anything about, then a book coach or like a self-publishing company, someone should be, be able to help you. And the only other thing I would have done differently is I loved my book coach. Do not get me wrong. She was more of a book coach for women. I wish I would have had a book coach for business authors, like nonfiction business, because I had to learn a lot of that myself as far as marketing, completely different marketing, not a nonfiction business book than just a self-help book.
Yeah.
So your audience is different. So that would have been the other thing, is I might have would have researched a little bit more.
Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about the difference between a coach and an editor, because some of what you discussed, I kind of always thought an editor would do. And then I understand that there are two different types of editors. There's the editors who edit for form and making sure you're consistent and there are no logic breaks in the stories that you're telling. And then there's the editor who does the sort of grammar and punctuation and all of that. Yeah. Did you just use one editor that covered all of that, or did your book coach do some of the logical form stuff?
No, my editor did all of that. So my book coach was more of helping me with like I said, she helped me with establish my voice. So how I was going to write my book, who my audience was. Then she helped me with building my outline. So she did that point. I would go to her and say, what do you think about this? What do you know? So she was kind of a, bounce ideas off of, but my editor actually, and I did a different process for editing. So I'm going to go over that because I think it was a good process. So one thing I learned was you always move forward with a book. You don't go back. You go back, you never move forward. And
well,
it's one of those things, right? Like you write a chapter, you remember something, you go back to chapter 1, then all of a sudden you read chapter 1 again, then you start tweaking and you forgot about chapter 3, that kind of thing.
Yes, absolutely.
So I ended up, so what I did was I wrote each chapter on its own, 1 through 10. I had 10 chapters. And then I handed one chapter to my editor. She would then review that chapter, provide format, flow, grammar, she did everything. She was a retired English professor who I think is probably a great person to be looking for an editor. If you're looking for someone who might not be always an editor, she was fantastic. She was really easy with that, or she used her red pen a lot. I think they're used to that when you're a professor. But anyway, she would do the edits, send me back that chapter. I would send her the second chapter. I would then sit with my first chapter, edit it with everything she provided, send it back to her. She would hold on, and we would do each chapter that way until we did 2 edits. And then we put the whole thing together, and then she reviewed the whole book together for like overall flow. But it forced me to only be looking at one chapter at a time. I couldn't skim forward to a different chapter, and it just kept that consistency. And I think that was one of the key things that helped me write a book and then launch it in 6 months, because I had a strict kind of process I was going with.
Yeah. And well, all of that is based on the fact that you must have had a very clear chapter outline before you started writing. And I think that that's a problem that a lot of first-time authors fall into, having fallen into it myself. And I assume that I'm not alone in this, that you write your chapters down, you think it's good, you start writing, and you realize that the book you're writing is really boring and nobody's going to want to read it. And you have to go back and revise your outline, which necessarily means revising the whole book. Did you fall into that trap too? Or am I just was that just me?
No, a lot of people fall into that trap. Yeah. What I did, so design thinking, part of it is ideation, brainstorming. So the first thing I did, I knew that the book was about design thinking and talent acquisition. So the first thing I did was I really brainstormed on both of those topics and just thought of as many topics or themes that could go into both of those. Then I bucketed them. And that actually really helped me with deciding on my chapters. It's like, okay, there's a lot of content here. This is going to be a good chapter. I'm going to put these 2 together because they work together, but there's just not as many topics.
Sure.
Then I brainstormed on stories.
Yes.
To like my own personal stories. What stories can I provide within all these areas?
Yep.
And then I realized, I don't have a story for these 3 areas. So then I would research and find case studies.
Yep.
Or decide if I wanted to interview someone. If I had someone in my network, I'm like, hey, I'm going to talk to her about this. And then I built my outline in the manner of, I always made sure the beginning of the chapter had either a story or some shocking facts, something that's going to grab your audience attention. And then I would go through, do some definitions, do some takeaways, then have another story, do some definitions, do some takeaways, and then tie it up with a bow, kind of like that the second to last paragraph should be kind of that, here's the summary of this chapter. And then the last paragraph is all about getting you to the next chapter.
Yes.
Teasing, tying it into the next one. So they want to read the next chapter. Now, I'm not going to tell you like my book is so funny and interesting. I mean, it's a business book. I recognize it wasn't going to be like super funny all the time. I was trying to make the content serious, but I made sure I had enough stories and enough information that was at least interesting, but also fact-based. So it was a nice mix.
Yes.
So I think if you feel really comfortable with your content, what you want to write about, being able to then brainstorm, bucket, and then kind of work your way through the outline is going to be a great process for you. Now, I'm a very logical person. I like steps. I like process. If you're not that person, what I did was probably like, sounds insane, sounds boring, so again, I've had people say, I go from chapter 10 to chapter 7 to chapter 9, and I'm just all over the place. And I was like, I think I would have had a mild heart attack. No, can't do that. Like, that's not how my brain functions. And I think that's the other thing is understanding, how do you write? What's the best process for you? And then work through that.
Yeah. And if it's the first time, you're going to learn a lot of that stuff as you're going through. You're going to learn how it is that you write. Okay. So all told, it took you 6 months, and how many days a week and how many hours a day?
Yep. So so it was during COVID. I had a 5-year-old. So my job was to be a mom, a lunch lady, a best friend, a teacher, and a confidant. And I don't know what else I was supposed to do.
Therapist.
Sure.
Yeah.
Therapist.
You were supposed to be a therapist too.
Doctor, whatever. So I ended up writing, I tried to write 2 hours a day, but I had to break it up. I had to do an hour at one point and an hour at another point. My husband has a full-time job, so I had to be mindful of his schedule.
Yep.
I'm the entrepreneur. I'm the one who should be able to stop everything and take care of my child. And obviously COVID, my clients kind of went away too. So it wasn't like,
makes it easier.
It makes it easier in the fact that if I didn't have a 5-year-old, that process would have been so much easier. But
every process is easier if you don't have a 5-year-old at home,
yes,
Jodi.
I would agree. But yeah, so I did I tried to do an hour a day. I ended up spending a lot of time on the weekends writing because that's when my husband wasn't working.
Makes sense.
So I would spend 2 to 3 hours a day, Saturday and Sunday, with writing. I would say the writing process of just getting my chapters done probably was only maybe 2 months of that time. A month of editing. I had a great editor. Again, she was stuck at home. So she was a grandma. She didn't have anything, she was like, give me some, I'm bored.
Right.
So we were like on it every day. She would have new content for me. And then I really focused on marketing it during the pre-launch, making sure I had my list of people who would buy it, and then was able to, get it on. And then I had to be mindful of the timing because colleges, now you buy a lot of your books through Amazon. And so in August and sometimes in September, the bestsellers during that time are actually textbooks.
Fascinating. That makes sense. Yep.
Yep. And there was a couple Trump books that came out during that time too. Right. And they actually went under Business and Money. And again, like a number one of all of Amazon, you're going to have to sell 2,000 to 3,000 books in one day. And that is very hard to do as a business owner, author.
Yeah. Okay, so that's how much time it took you. How much did it cost you to produce this book? You had the coach, the editor, the cover design, and then whatever you had to pay Amazon.
Yep. So it was about $5,000 or $8,000. I want to say my coach was around. I had literally had to like go back and check this out. Think about $5,500 for my coach, $2,000 for my editor, which is actually a steal. Some of them are really expensive.
Yeah.
99 designs. If you haven't used it, it's a really cool tool. It cost me about $300, but you get all these designers who provide their idea of what your book cover should look like. And so it was nice because I didn't have a solid design I wanted. So I needed that creativity. But it was about $300. But again, that's actually very affordable. Sometimes book covers can be $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. And Amazon, so my coach helped me get on Amazon, but there's really no cost to Amazon on self-publishing a book. So yeah, it was about $8,000, and I had that return probably within, if I just went with my one client who I know I 100% got from the book, it was about 6 months, and I hit my 8,000.
You returned it off.
Yeah.
And what about the actual layout of the book itself? That design, which is different from cover design. Did you have somebody doing that too, or did you do that?
The book coach did it. We talked. I actually started a new business venture because of this process. I'm now helping others write, and so now I am able to format, which is its own fun process. So yeah, that could be very pricey, but it actually shouldn't be. But the software, the systems and stuff. But that's a whole nother piece of being able to look at your book, and you have an ebook design versus a paperback,
right?
Just because they are so different when you're reading it, you want to make sure it works well on both platforms.
Yep. Okay. So you mentioned that a lot of sort of the second half of your 6 months was spent marketing. Can you talk to us briefly about what you did for marketing? And I know you made a bunch of bestseller lists. So how did you pull that off?
Yeah. So with the marketing, I did a big push. I, wanted people to know, that I was becoming an author. I actually had people vote on my book cover to get them engaged. So I did a lot of, I did a lot of stuff on social media through my email list, just letting people know about it. I documented the experience. So just, kind of went through on social media about that. But with bestseller, there is a process to become bestseller, and on Amazon, there's multiple processes for all the different bestsellers that you can do. But with Amazon, you have to be strategic on a couple things. One, you have to know the best categories to put your book in. So there's calculators out there that will tell you the book sales rates to be number one. So you could actually go to that calculator, and based off of the Amazon data, you can get on their site. So if you go to someone's book page, you scroll down, it gives you the BSR, which is what they rank overall in Amazon. You take that number, and then it'll tell you how many books you need to sell in a month or in a day, depending on how long you want to be bestseller. So that kind of lets you know, okay, if I put it in management, I need to sell approximately 500 books on that day. So am I going to use that or not? Do I think I have 500 people or not? So you might go to a different category. So there are so many categories just in the nonfiction business section that you can look at. And then there's subcategories. I mean, it's a whole thing, but being able to figure out what are the best categories, you can do up to 10. They don't show you that in Amazon. You actually have to email them. So you are able to do 2 or 4 in KDP, which is the site that you put your book out there. Yeah. But then you can email them and say, I want to put them in these other categories. And so I think you can do like 5 ebook and then 5 paperback.
And for the bestseller, they count ebook and paperback separately, correct?
Yes, they do. So that's you have to be strategic about that too. So I always advise people that if you truly want to be bestseller, you want to put your Kindle book out there first, and then maybe a week or 2 later, put your paperback. Because if you put them both out there, even if you tell your audience, please buy the Kindle, if they get the option and they like a paperback, they're still going to buy that paperback. They're not going to follow your instructions. So, and the nice thing is if you have friends who are readers who believe that they're editors, they might go through that Kindle pretty quickly and give you edits, and then you can fix it before it becomes a paperback.
Oh, fascinating. I hadn't thought about that.
So you have to think about a paperback. Once it's out there forever.
Yep.
A Kindle, you can always tweak and it'll go and update it in your Kindle app, but your paperback is out there for life. So if you can fix any like silly things that happen in that book beforehand, that's what I would want to do.
That's great.
So I always do Kindle. The other reason I do Kindle is because I make it so easy for anyone in my audience to buy my book. Anyone in my network, my family, friends. I would charge 99 cents to $1.99 for a Kindle for that weekend. It's
opening weekend, right?
Opening weekend. It's a sale. There's a sale.
Right.
So and I see, Connie, you can update your paperback file, but any paperback that was printed will always have that error. So that's where that's my concern is I wouldn't want my actual paperback to be out there and have, I don't know, something weird in it. But so I make it super easy because during launch, the VIP, I'm asking anyone and everyone. So, Dawn, if I came to you and said, hey, Dawn, I wrote a book about, let's see, what did I write a book about? Honey badgers.
Okay, I'm with you.
And my goal is to make that a bestseller on launch day. Can I count on you to pay $1 to buy my ebook Honey Badger book? Would you say yes to that if I asked you for $1?
I mean, for $1, and if you're a friend, yeah.
Yes. So you may not read my Honey Badger book.
It's correct.
Right. But you're also not killing the world. It's not trees, right? It's an ebook. And so that's the thing. Like I literally asked anyone and everyone I've ever met in my life, would you help me become a bestseller for $1? And if they said yes, I said, can I text you or can I email you? And they told me how. And I said, I will do that on launch day. Thank you so much. And so the goal was to get 200 people to say yes. And then the day of, you just, constantly keep them updated, let them know, I would let them know like, hey, I'm number 4. I'm so close, you guys. And I literally had people telling other people like, buy my friend's book. She wants to be bestseller because you're part of the experience. You're seeing it. And then all of a sudden you just helped someone become a bestseller. And that, to me is so awesome to know that you did that for somebody, that I feel like, again, it's kind of like that no brainer, like, yeah, I want to help someone achieve that goal. Like, that sounds like an awesome goal. So that was like the bestseller strategy was literally just asking anyone and everyone to buy my book for $1.
Yeah. And I think the key point here that we sort of have been talking around is the fact that being on the bestseller list means that you're going to get a lot more exposure, right? So the algorithm kicks in and a lot more people are going to be able to see your book. So that's why you want to get on that bestseller list. Yeah.
I mean, if you look at it, whenever there's new releases that are really big, they're advertised on the bestseller page. Yeah. There's like a little ad. So even Amazon's helping you when they see that a book is producing sales. So yeah. And again, my goal was never royalties. I never was going out to make tons of money on my book. So to put my book out there for anyone to buy for 99 cents, I was totally down for that. That was what I wanted. I didn't care that maybe only got 20 cents of royalties that day. I'm like, whatever. It's about getting the book in people's hands. Hopefully they'll change their process or do something different, or they'll call me and let me help them.
All right. So, did you learn, it sounds like the marketing was quite a bit of work. You worked quite a few months on it. Did you learn how to market this book from your book coach, or is this something you studied up on and read up on your own?
she gave me a few tips. And she also gave me kind of a calendar, like, hey, you need to like make sure you're consistently getting out there. Her big thing was doing a Facebook group, doing lives and kind of building it up there. I didn't see the return on investment on doing that. Most of mine was through LinkedIn and through my email list is where I think I got the return on investment on my marketing. I still have that group. I still try to communicate, but it's not, I don't think it's the right tactic for my book. But yes, so she gave me some, but then I researched a lot and looked at other people's stuff. Facebook might be a pain in the ass when they learn about you, but when you want to learn, just being able to do some searches, all of a sudden things come up. So like I would just search, business books, and all of a sudden I would get all kinds of like, ads for business books. And I would just look at them and say, do I like that? Nope. I would do this. And it just inspired me on how I should do it. One inspired me to do a short webinar about empathy that I thought would work well. So it was, I just learned from others.
Awesome. All right. So we're going to wrap it up with one last question here. Who would you recommend this for? For what business owners is writing a book going to deliver all of the kinds of results that you saw, or all the benefits that you saw? And, for whom is it maybe not the best use of time and money?
Anyone who sees a book as opening doors or being a vessel to new business, new opportunities, that is the business owner who will want to use a book. Someone who wants to be an influencer, someone who actually wants to get out there and either talk or, be interviewed or provide their content.
Has some expertise to share.
Yes. Someone who has no interest in marketing their book, no interest in doing the different things to be an influencer. Don't write a book. It's, again, if you get a publisher who's going to give you tons of money to write your book, go for it.
But you're still going to have to do the marketing. Even if you have a publisher, you're still going to have to do a lot of the promotion.
Yep. I mean, a lot of them don't do the promotion anymore. Like you said, expect you to do the promotion. But I think that if you see how it can help you, you can write a book. So if you sell products or if you sell a service, I don't think that gives you a reason not to or to. It's more of, can you see how your future can change within your business with having this book out there? And if you can, and if you're willing to work on it and do it, then you should.
Awesome. Thank you, Jodi. This was really, really, really comprehensive and really interesting information. I'm so glad you were here today to share it.
Well, that's a wrap. If you enjoyed this episode of Marketing Made Easy, please subscribe to Jottful's YouTube channel. That's JOTTFUL. That way, you'll never miss an episode. We'll meet you on the next one.